people eat this every day?
I don't know, but there was a ton down there. If only there was an easier way to get it.
There is. We watched this video. It's called Aquaculture and Mariculture. Let's watch it again.
Okay, sounds good.
Aquaculture is farming, but on farms that grow their crops in water instead of on land. Aquaculture includes a wide variety of plants and aquatic animals such as fish, mussels, and aquatic plants. This type of farming can be controlled in both saltwater and freshwater, both indoors and outdoors. The farms might cover many acres or might be as small as a tank or two in a home or office. Aquaculture is an important economic activity in many countries and offers opportunities to contribute to poverty through employment, community development, protection of exploitation of natural resources, and food security.
Remember that? It involves fish farming, shrimp farming, oyster farming, even seaweed farming.
Yeah, it produces over 400 different species. It's the fastest growing food production system in the planet.
Wow. Let's keep watching the video.
The practice of aquaculture has been around for at least 3,000 years, with the ancient Romans growing oysters and the Chinese growing carp. Since those early days, farmers have been working to improve our farming methods.
The simplest explanation for why aquaculture is used because people like to eat fish and use other things that grow in water.
Aquaculture provides a way for the farmers to grow a crop that the people want. Also, wild fisheries have reached a limit, and farming is a way to produce food to feed a growing population.
Worldwide, there are a variety of plants and animals being grown. They can be for food such as catfish, salmon, oysters, mussels, and kelp.
Oh, and shrimp!
Yeah, Ashlyn, and shrimp. Let's keep watching the video.
Aquaculture can also be done to help clean up the environment. Some examples include planting seaweed that produces excess nutrients, or to supply a market for aquarium fish like clownfish.
Something about mariculture too. What's that?
Hold on, we're getting there.
There are specific types of aquaculture, one of which is known as mariculture. Mariculture is the farming of marine organisms for food or other products in the open ocean or in tanks or ponds that are filled with seawater. It includes the farming of fish, shellfish, oysters, and seaweed in saltwater ponds. Non-food items grown in a mariculture environment include fish meal, jewelry, and cosmetics.
In order to farm these organisms in the ocean, they must be raised in a high-energy environment. Open ocean aquaculture uses cages, nets, or long-line cultivation methods that are towed or float freely. In order to create a separate area for the farming within the oceans, most fishermen raise the crops in a tight net or in a harbor. During each feeding, a horn sounds letting them know that it's feeding time. The young fish are kept then in the net until they are older, where they are then set out into the open ocean to grow. During spawning season, 80% of the fish return to their birthplace. When the horn sounds, they go for food and are netted and captured for food. This is known as sea ranching.
There is also a type of mariculture known as seawater ponds, where fish are raised in ponds that receive water from the sea. This has the benefit that the nutrition and the microorganisms that are present in the seawater can be used. There are also advantages to this, such as water purification plants that can be planted in the ponds to eliminate the bacteria in the water.
Now this is all really fascinating, but is there anything bad about aquaculture and mariculture?
Yeah, Ashlyn, we're getting there. Be patient.
Aquaculture and mariculture have rapidly expanded over the past 2 decades due to better technology, improvement in feeding and water quality within the farms. Because of this, it has been subject to controversy regarding its environmental impacts.
Some impacts from these farms include waste from cage cultures, farm escapees and invasive species, genetic pollution and disease, parasite transferring, and habitat modification. Usually the degree of impact depends on the size of the farm, the density of the population, the type of feed, and the species that are being cultured.
One growing problem is the waste that comes from the cages. Because this type of farming can require a large amount of fish meal and high-protein food sources, the feeding leads to a large amount of detritus on the seafloor, which eventually alters the environment.
Farm escapees and invasive species can also be a problem.
Oh, invasive species!
Just like the project we did in class!
How cool!
The impact of escapees from aqua farming depends on whether or not there are wild relatives close in the environment. Escapees can impact a local ecosystem through the hybridization and the loss of genetic diversity in the native stocks. The introduction of invasive species can also cause a huge issue as they can introduce new competition to the native species.
The last major issue is habitat modification. Most mariculture causes minimal destruction to the habitats. However, the destruction of mangrove forests from the farming of shrimp is a concern.
Lindsay, they're talking about shrimp!
Yes, Ashlyn, they're talking about shrimp. Get a grip!
Globally, shrimp farming activity is a small contributor to the destruction of mangrove forests. However, locally it can be devastating. Mangrove forests provide a great deal of biodiversity and act as buffering systems where they reduce coastal erosion.
So is there a way to keep this aquaculture stuff, like, sustainable?
Yeah, there is. Let's just keep watching the video.
Okay.
The promotion of sustainable aquaculture development requires that enabling environments, in particular those aimed at ensuring continuing human resource development and capacity building, are created and maintained. The FAO Code of Conduct for Responsible Fisheries contains principles in support of sustainable aquaculture development. The code recognizes the special requirements of developing countries and addresses the needs in the areas of financial and technical assistance. Under the guidelines advised by the Farm Animal Welfare Council, good animal welfare means both fitness and a sense of well-being in the animal's physical and mental state. This can be defined as the famous 5 freedoms: freedom from hunger and thirst, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain, disease, or injury, freedom to express normal behavior, freedom to fear and distress. From fear and distress. Taking care of the freedoms for the fish, as well as the habitats and the surrounding native species and environment, is very important and needs to be closely monitored in order to sustainably maintain the future of the aquaculture business.
The end. I hope you enjoyed our video on aquaculture. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, probably wasn't the smartest way to do this. Okay, ready? Okay, now we just have to do the ending, so maybe I'll jump in the pool and be like, this is aquaculture, just like that one time I threw it up the lake, whatever. And then, and then I'll just throw it up in the air and jump in. And then Trev, you just videotape when I say go.
Okay.
So maybe put your hood on, that way you don't get too wet.
I don't want to get wet. Oh, this is gross water. Okay, I'm
Okay,
ready.
Trev, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. This is the end. I hope you enjoyed aquaculture. Okay, this is the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed aquaculture.
Thanks. Are you joking?
The end. I hope you enjoyed our video on aquaculture. And I hope you enjoyed our video on aquaculture. I hope you enjoyed our video on aquaculture. And I hope you enjoyed our video on aquaculture.